All right, let's talk Atlanta Falcons. Look, we're in the middle of combine week now, so we got a lot of news flying around. Teams trying to play different games with each other, trying to set up different strategies to how they're going to approach this offseason. And the Falcons, to that end, have made a very interesting strategic move that has big ramifications going forward for them. Look, there's a lot of different ways this could go. We'll break it down in just a second. But first, I'm Nick. This is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, talking Falcons, without further ado, let's pull up the first chunk of this. This is a report courtesy of SI.com. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution's D. Orlando Ledbetter, great name, reported on February 25th that the Falcons will not use a single one, not one of their 2025 NFL draft interviews on an offensive prospect. That's very interesting. In fact, for the NFL Combine this week, the Falcons left their entire offensive coaching staff at home. That's a little bizarre, a little unusual. Ledbetter wrote, Falcons to have defensive draft. None of the Falcons' assistant offensive coaches will attend the combine. That was on X, formerly Twitter, if any of you guys have been living under a rock. All right, the Falcons are using all 45 of their interview meetings on defensive players. Again, that's from Ledbetter over at the AJC. Look, I think this is an interesting move by the Atlanta Falcons. There's a lot of different ways to break this down. Are the Falcons going super heavy in the NFL draft? Are they trying to send a message to other teams about potential trade opportunities? Kirk Cousins obviously looming as the backup, and someone's got to want to make a play for him. A lot of things to talk about here. And Miles, I know you've got a few thoughts, but first, Falcons fans in the comment section below, what do you want the Falcons to do with their first round pick, just the way things are right now, right? Obviously, things are going to change, right? We know it's going to be really volatile, but based on things sit right now with the Falcons roster, what position or player, I'll let you go either or, do you want the Falcons to go after with their first round pick? Let's hear it in the comment section below. But Mize, over to you. What are your thoughts on this latest news out of Atlanta?
And again, I know there's a lot of ways to take this news, and if you're a Falcons fan, you could dive into it and see a lot of different opportunities here. Is this a smokescreen? Is there someone they really like offensively, and they're trying to, rile things up, get a little bit of, kind of deceit in there, play some spy games? It could be. I think it very well could be, but I don't think that's the case here. I think when you look at what this team has going on offensively, it's a strong core. Got a good offensive line. There could be one or so people that you lose in free agency. Might not be able to pay everybody, specifically talking about Dahlman. That's a name that's been thrown around, leaving to go somewhere else. Receiving core, London is a great prospect. Moore is a great prospect. Then you got Penix. He's going to be your quarterback of the future. And Bijan Robinson's obviously a phenomenal player at the running back position. But then you look at the defense, and I think when you look at this defense, it really needs some star power. It really needs the ability to have some key core players to anchor it and be able to move forward. There's a lot of older guys on this defense. You got to get your next Grady Jarrett like player. Judon didn't really work out too great. Onyemata is good. Ellis is good, but how long are they going to be on this team as well? I think they really need to focus in the draft, and I think going defensively makes a whole lot of sense, especially for Raheem Morris. Defense was kind of disappointing under him. They kind of went all in free agency and got a couple of guys last year, but it didn't turn out too well for them. I think it makes sense to do this kind of approach for the Falcons. So smoke train could be, but I'm banking they actually want to get some defensive stars and start to build a strong core on the defensive side of the ball for this team. It makes a whole lot of sense if you think about it, but there are a lot of options, a lot of different ways that this could go for the Falcons. We're going to have to take a wait and see approach, but if they go defense, I think it would be a really smart choice for them.
Yes, you bring up something that's really important. Now, look, this is my opinion. This is my take. This is what I'm seeing when I look at the situation, what I think is going to happen. And Falcons fans, bear with me for a second here. So we know Kirk Cousins, right? Reports Terry Fontenot came out and said, we're very happy with Kirk Cousins being our backup quarterback, our number two quarterback, which is absolutely bonkers, right? You're paying him a lot of money, big cap hit. Everyone understands Kirk Cousins is not going to be the Atlanta Falcons backup quarterback with his cap hit. That would just be silly. Worst case scenario, they cut him as a June 1st designation. They free up about 28 million bucks, right? That's probably the worst case for the Atlanta Falcons. I think Atlanta's trying to shop him. I think they're trying to trade him. And right here, I think they're sending a message to one team in particular. If you look at everyone they're talking to, their entire focus, again, no offense, only defense. We know these Falcons, you brought it up, Miles. They need playmakers. They need guys in the front seven that are superstars. And there's one name lurking out there, and that's Myles Garrett. And I think what the Atlanta Falcons are doing here is they're trying to set up the biggest trade of the offseason, an absolutely massive move here. They're trying to sit there and essentially trade Kirk Cousins and some other pieces to the Cleveland Browns, most likely Kirk Cousins and their first round pick, maybe some other things around the side to the Cleveland Browns for Garrett, right? Myles Garrett. I think that's exactly what we're seeing here with the Atlanta Falcons. At least that's what they're trying to set up. Because we know the Cleveland Browns, as much as they say, right, they love Deshaun Watson and they're happy with Garrett, the way he is right now. The reality is their quarterback position is so bad, they need to upgrade it somehow. And Myles Garrett is their number one big time trading chip. And the Browns could literally get a quarterback that gets him some stability, some normalcy for at least a year or two, which Kirk Cousins could bring, and they get extra draft capital. And in return, the Atlanta Falcons get the superstar that they've been waiting for such a long time to acquire. I think that's what the Falcons are trying to do here, right? They're sitting there and saying, they're blaring it like, we are looking for defensive superstars. Look, we're not even talking to the offensive guys. And the fact that they're saying we're happy with Kirk Cousins as their number two quarterback, that's a smokescreen that no one believes for even a second. Everyone knows the Atlanta Falcons are trying to shop Kyle Pitts for the salary cap purposes and shop Kirk Cousins for salary cap purposes, right? The Falcons have a chance to unload both of those guys. I think Pitts to the Bengals makes a lot of sense. And I honestly think at this point, Kirk Cousins to the Cleveland Browns makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. I think it's the right move for both teams. And look, this is a Falcons team. They've got good players. You mentioned their stars on their skill positions, solid offensive line. They got a few question marks in some areas, but overall, if they add a defensive superstar, this is a team that probably is the best roster in that division. I think Terry Fontenot and honestly the entire coaching staff, front office, understands that they're on a short leash here, right? They got to go out there and win now. I think they see this as their opportunity to make a big move. And folks, don't be surprised at all if in the coming days and weeks, we're seeing more momentum about the Atlanta Falcons making this big time trade. And I think it's to the Cleveland Browns that they get Myles Garrett and send Kirk Cousins.